Howdy guys, and welcome to the very first episode of Talent Talks. Hopefully running this every month here on Anygame.com, and for our first episode we have someone quite unique in the Australian space, doing something that's not really done on this side of the pond. We've got Ty Hanson here,
Hi.
and he's going to talk to us a little bit about his anime project Millennium Exile. So I know a bit about the project, and I've been through your website and things like that, and been following you on your socials for a little while now, but for people that don't know about Millennium Exile or haven't heard of you, tell them a little bit about the project.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your first episode of this, man.
Not a problem.
It's an honour. It's a great privilege, and so thanks very much, and hi to everyone watching. It's fantastic. Millennium Exile, it's basically a story that I've been writing that I started back in 2008, which is a while ago, I know, but humble beginnings. And it started as nothing more than just a university assignment for a character design assignment that when I was studying animation and graphic design. And from there, I started writing just this character bio, and then I had to do like a backstory with it. And I really enjoyed what I was writing, and I sort of got obsessed with, I know it's a bit vain, but I got very obsessed with the backstory that I was writing, and I started going deeper and deeper into it. And so yeah, it's as a whole, it's basically a fantasy story that's been written basically as close to what you'd probably call a shonen battle anime, or battle story. And I'm hoping that it would get at the moment, I'm working towards getting an anime adaptation. So yeah, so it's a fantasy story, but a lot of action. I'm not looking for anything. I haven't written it for a extremely long run. Nothing like your One Pieces or your Naruto. It's very much, I would, in an ideal world, and after negotiations and everything like that with studios, in an ideal world, I have currently written for a 63 episode runtime.
Okay.
Whether that be several sets of 12, as is the trend with a lot of shows now in animation studios, or whether that's a couple of seasons of 26 episodes, or whether they go if a studio is that keen, they could go all in and do the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and just go straight through.
Yeah, that's what I was going to refer it to. The closest thing that's kind of 64, 65 episodes that people probably know of or is popular is the Brotherhood series.
Yeah, that's right. Because I think even though there's technically seasons in that show, it all kind of just happened in one run.
Yeah, I think it aired over like a year and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So and what a lot of people sort of I think don't realize is a lot of these 12 runner episodes, like Hero Academia, I think we just had our 50th episode. But a lot of people because there's breaks in between that, a lot of people are breaking that up into episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah.
And which is, it's fine either way. It doesn't matter. But
it's really one whole story.
Exactly. So whether it's segmented like that or it all happens in one easy flow, I mean, that would obviously be up to a lot of luck on my behalf and a lot more hard work. But 63 episodes is what I've pretty much planned for at the moment.
Cool, because that was one of my other questions, like what were your release plans around it? I know you were initially thinking of pitching to Netflix. I don't know if that's still happening, but like what about something similar to Little Witch Academia, where they started as like a short or 2 shorts and then they expanded it into the full season? You open to something like that, or if they said that was on the cards, would you be able to do that with your kind of story?
The way that I've written Millennium Exile is very versatile.
Yep.
Because from day one, the minute I started taking Millennium Exile seriously, like as I said, it started as a university project. The minute I decided to start writing it, and then I ended up going back and rewriting it and refleshing it out for proper adaptation, I needed to make it quite flexible and versatile for the needs of like a studio and other entities that are going to get involved. So the good thing about the way that I've written it is that, yes, it can quite easily, I could quite easily make an OVA of it. And then if, to test the waters, if a studio is interested and they want to test the waters, they want to do like a short OVA, we could 100% do for example, we could do like a short prequel leading up to the events that start the Millennium Exile story.
Yep.
And it would be just enough to kind of wet the lips of the audience, get people established to the world and the lore and the characters. and then people would want to know. Hopefully they'll want to know what happens next. And if the audience is on board and the hype is real, then then we can actually start the story. But even then, I could even there's a lot of options. I could even start telling backstories to the individual characters that make up our main cast, as like a 4-part OVA set sort of thing. 4 or 5. So yeah, I'm trying to be adaptable and flexible.
Various channels that it could go to, hopefully.
Pardon?
Various channels in which it could go to give you a kind of best opportunity to get this thing off the ground.
That's exactly right. And I mean, even though I said I hadn't planned for it to be a long runner like One Piece or Naruto, the story itself, the way that I believe I've written it, it has a lot of area where we can draw things out. Where the set of events at point A, B, and C don't technically have to follow through one after another. We could technically have some quests and some adventures in between those key points. Should a series, should someone actually want to put it into a longer run.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's not something I'd like to see Millennium Exile become. Just because the longer you have a series,
I think the more watered down it kind of gets. Throughout its run.
Because you look at the budget that they, that those sort of shows are on. You start looking at, what is it? I think off the top of my head, last I checked, an average Naruto episode, when you convert the Australian yen to the Japanese yen to Australian dollar. I think last time I looked that up, it was like 125,000 of our dollars per 24-minute ep.
Yep.
And I mean that's a Naruto is like mediocre to not mediocre but mid-range to low budget on the scale.
Yeah. Because they need to crank them out fast too.
Excluded.
They crank them out. They crank them out really fast too. So they aren't the top of the top animation studios that are working on these things either. Like they do on some episodes.
Exactly. You can't have every episode be like Sakuga the whole way through. You can't have this high polished through a show of like 900 episodes.
No.
So for that reason, I think I really do think Studio Bones hit the nail on the head with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
The way they did that, there was really no badly animated episode in that. It was consistent, and then in parts, it just had they took it a step higher.
Yep, definitely.
And I think that would be amazing, and. I mean, Studio Afotable, they just throw money at everything. I think they just go all in, and that would be incredible. But I've got a long way to go before I'm at that point yet.
Yep. So you did just mention Studio Bones. Have you had any luck pitching to actual Japanese studios yet? Or if you can't get Bones, do you have any other kind of backup options which you think would suit the Millennium Exile project?
Bones is the studio that I pretty much wrote this story in mind with, so they are first and foremost my preference, mainly because I feel like that's their wheelhouse. They have for a couple of reasons. The genre of Millennium Exile is very much the genre that a lot of Bones, it's what Bones seems to do a lot of their titles of. They really exist in that sort of genre.
Yep.
That high fantasy action sort of genre, that's really their wheelhouse. But on top of that, I really do feel like they invest a lot in original anime that aren't manga adaptations first and foremost.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brotherhood aside, they did that as a manga adaptation, but they do a lot of hard-hitting titles as anime originals. I think there's something really good about that.
Similar to Studio Trigger.
Yeah. Oh man, Trigger's amazing.
They're working on so many things. I
love a lot of what Trigger's doing at the moment. I'm not the biggest Kill fan, and people are going to kill me for that. But you still can't deny the amount of talent that's in that studio. Just because the story wasn't my cup of tea, you can absolutely I could absolutely watch that series from beginning to end and just see the love that the staff from Studio Trigger has for what they're working on.
Yep.
And that would be incredible as well, because Takuya Igarashi from Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is my idol. That guy's storytelling is just
good series,
mind blowing. So if that would be a dream come true to even come face to face with that guy, let alone have a chance to work with him.
Yeah. So for those listening that haven't actually checked out the project yet, just beware, it's not just high fantasy stuff. This anime is also seems to be filled with mechs. So you're also doing that kind of cross-genre thing as well, similar to what Gurren Lagann did so well as well. So that's clearly an inspiration for you.
Look, the show's not filled with mechs. The mechas currently got a bit of hype on them at the moment because I'm talking about releasing my second big one as far as the artwork goes.
Yep.
The mecha that are in the show, because like I don't want to go too far into every genre and not excel at any of them. I want to know what the structure of my story is. I think it's important to know what your foundation is as a storyteller, like what the foundations are of your story. Not just go, oh, I love samurais, I love mecha, I love fantasies, I love slice of life. Let's just throw it all in there into this big casserole of nonsense.
Yep.
I think that's trying to be too many things while excelling at nothing in particular.
Yep.
I think if you to pull that off, you'd have to be some sort of amazing writer. I think that's why I loved Gurren Lagann as much as I did, because that was just balls to the walls crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when
for the pitch of that.
Because,
yep.
Like, how do you pitch that? You know, well, we're going to start underground, and then by the last episode, we're going to have, like, universe-sized robots throwing galaxies like frisbees at each other, and it's going to make sense.
Well, I don't know who's more crazy, the people that came up with the idea and pitched it, or the people that agreed to put money into it and fund it.
That's right. Who said, yep, we're going to throw money into that? That sounds like brilliant. A tangible idea. That sounds like a safe business proposition. So, but it worked, you know, and that's the writer. But no, the mechas in Millennium Exile, they actually don't come into the story until the later half of the show. So from about midway on, that's where we start finding out about these two legendary mecha they're very much a part of the lore and backstory of the world, like of previous civilizations that came before the ones that we're talking about. And it's not even a civilization that's on world. The mechas have actually come from another planet and have been like pretty much existing and sort of like buried on this planet for thousands of years. And without going too far into the story of it, you very much start learning the lore of the world as the characters do for the first time as well. And when these mechas get unearthed through various circumstances, that's where they start becoming this integral part, because, you know, it might be cliche, but when you've only got two of these robots, you know, the bad guys find one and they think that's the only one, and then all of a sudden the good guys find out that there's another one, and you know, it's cliche, but I feel like I'm going to make it work. The way that I've written this in, I feel like it's going to be a lot of hype for the audience. I really want to entertain people as much as possible while still keeping things coherent.
Well, it definitely sounds entertaining.
I'm trying my best.
You can pretty much boil any anime down to good versus bad at some point. So you're bound to run into some cliches, but how many other shonen series can you all compare to each other and pull similar things? You can get similarities out of everything, so
that's right.
It all comes down to the story.
What in this world is original anymore? Everything is derived or inspired by something else. You know, it's one of the big things that, like, with Hero Academia, huge title at the moment.
Massive.
And on websites and forums and fan boards, you know, you get this small group of people that are saying, oh, you know, I don't see what the big hype is about. They've done nothing original that other shows haven't done. And at the end of the day, I mean, like, they are right.
Yeah.
They're not wrong. But I think they're not seeing what Hero Academia is trying to do. Hero Academia is doing so well because it knows what its foundation is and it's excelling at it.
Yep.
It's making sure that it tells its story, you know, almost without fail. And they know where their boundaries are and what their power ceiling is and stuff like that. And structure is everything to that show. And that's why it's so good, because it excels at what they know their story is. They know what it is, and that's what they're going to write it for.
It's also hitting a worldwide audience all at the same time with that. It's got a huge cast behind it with the simuldub. So it's almost coming out hand in hand. Japanese audience to the English audience, and not many anime, or it's getting more popular now, but back years prior, generally if something came out in Japanese, it was years before the other side of the world got to see it, whether it be on Adult Swim or home release or anything like that. So it's also got that going for it as well. They're really clever about the way they've made it.
Yeah, that's right. I think I follow popular YouTuber, Giga, who
Yeah,
does a
yeah,
lot of anime videos.
yeah.
I love his content, but he did a video a little while back talking about how mainstream anime has become now, and that's very much in the light of what you just spoke about, how simuldubs are becoming popular now, whereas back in the day, when anime was a lot more niche, you'd have to wait years for that dub to come out.
Yep.
And now we're almost in this state of mainstream where we're getting same day releases in both languages, which is just insane.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's fantastic though, because it means that there's such a collaboration happening between companies around the world to actually get this out to on a global, like on a worldwide scale, and not just over in Japan. You know, it's really awesome to see. I'm really happy to be a fan of anime for as long as I've been, to be able to see that how it was back then, and just see it now and go, wow, like,
it's
how
come a
far
long
it's
way.
come.
And then I don't know if you know, or watch Fooly Cooly. It's just started its like second and third kind of slash season on Adult Swim, and that's actually coming out in English like 6 months before the Japanese, and that's just crazy.
I saw that. FLCL progressive, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
and that's crazy.
I've seen a bit of that, and it's really interesting to see that it's coming out before the Japanese dub now. And I heard that, I was like, what world are we living in now?
People in Japan are now watching the English dubbed version subtitled for them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, like you never thought that would ever happen.
No. But FLCL is amazing though.
Another good short series.
Oh man, so good.
But speaking of voice actors, you've got a bit of a demo reel up on your YouTube channel, and that's part of, if I understand correctly, it's a cut of the full-length demo reel that you're using for your pitches, for your studios and things like that. And you managed to get some pretty big guys behind that to help you out with the production of that. You got Kyle Hebert and Kaiji Tang. So you got Teen Gohan and Kamina himself from Gurren Lagann is somewhat attached to the Millennium Exile project pitch.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Like
so basically it's a bit of a wild ride for me, really, as far as like looking back at it. But like it was a few years ago now. It was a couple of years ago that I reached out to a voice actor, and I was planning on doing a few things. I was planning on sort of making like a small snippet, but it was only going to be of one character, and it wasn't going to be anything, massive. It was only going to be one character and a couple of scenes, and that was going to be the end of it, because up until then I was 100% funding this project from my own pocket. So I was working every terrible job that I hated just to fuel Millennium Exile and the rent, really. At the end of the day, it was, put the bare minimum into my stomach that I could and put as most as I could into the project. And this voice actor was a producer, a voice director, at the same time. And he's also a producer of like a few films and stuff like that. And he turned around, he's gone, I reached out to his email, and I'm not sure if I can talk about who he is yet, so I'll probably keep his name nameless. I don't have his permission to disclose, his involvement. But he was. I got his email. I reached out to him, said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I designed this character around your voice, as a fan," and he got back to me pretty much straight away and said, "Hey, look, I really like the amount of work that you've done," because I was still pretty far along with the project at this point. I was pretty much just keeping it under wraps, and I was keeping it secret for the most part. It barely had an online presence at all. And I had no social media accounts for the project, nothing. And he turns around and said, "Look, I'm actually impressed you've gotten as far as you have. Just being on your own and not having an entry point into I don't know anyone in the field already. I have no contacts. I have no name behind myself as a previous writer."
Well, it's hard being in Australia for that as well.
Yeah, and then your location in the world is So he was really impressed with what I'd done so far, and so for weeks it was just back and forward emails. Just he was putting me through my paces. He was really asking me, what's this about? What's that about? And I think he was really just quizzing me to see how far I've thought this through, how much I've planned. That wasn't uploaded anywhere, because again, no sites really had anything on there apart from my DeviantArt account. And then he ended up saying, hey, look, I actually think the idea is amazing. I'd love to help you out, but I think you need to go online with this. You need to give it a chance to get a fan base, get some interest. And I tell you what, if you can reach this amount of money for in donations for your project, then I'll help you out with voice acting.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, that's incredible. And so I started the Millennium Exile Facebook page, and I started getting, and I think I'm only just over 2,000 likes on Facebook. So comparatively to reviewers out there in the world and other anime fan pages and stuff like that, I'm tiny. But I was really lucky that the right people, the right fans were liking the page, because within 48 hours I'd hit the mark in donations that he'd asked for.
Damn.
And I was blown away by it. I was almost moved to tears from that, because I didn't understand the point of putting out for donations, because it's nothing that's like a tangible product that I can't really go to Kickstarter with it. Because Kickstarter means that you have to, their donations will eventually see a
result
final
in
product.
something, where you're probably not quite at that point. You've got a lot. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know what Kickstarter's like about potentially not getting the rewards. They probably frown upon that, or potentially getting the rewards in, say, 10 years from now. They're probably,
and I tried a GoFundMe page, and that went terribly, because I had no idea what I was doing. This is before I emailed anyone. I just thought, it'd be cool if I got some help, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea to put it out to the world. And it did all right. I got a couple. I got some lovely donations from people, but it wasn't a great campaign, and that was on me, because that was a growing moment for me. Had to fail forward on that one, fail to learn. And but anyways, when I put out to the project, even this director turned around and said, "Look, at the end of the day, if you're a studio head, you're going to want to see, if you're going to put money into a project, you're going to probably want to see what the public interest is like. And of course, you're putting money into your own project because you're the one that stands to gain from it. But if you've got fans from around the world who don't know you, and even people that do know, if you've got people that are willing to separate with their hard-earned money to support your story, that says a lot more than just your own money, money out of your own pocket.
It says more than likes on a Facebook page too. So don't let that get to you either. If you see other pages and stuff with massive amounts of likes, because it doesn't always, if you check out a lot of those, their engagement in their posts and things like that are almost non-existent. If you've got a niche, 2,000 people there that are passionate about your audience, it's way better than 50,000 random bots and other people that have just liked the page the number's just a number.
Yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. And so he ended up recording for me, and I was blown away hearing this voice actor whom I'd respected and sort of grown up with, listening to for so long, voice one of my characters. It was absolutely incredible. And then I was tasked with and then he also said, he's gone, but look, I don't want you using this just for this one character piece. And I was like, well, what am I going to be using it for, man? You kind of put me in a corner here, dude. What am I going to use it for? And he said, no, and this was him being, a director and him giving me industry experience or industry knowledge. He tells me, no, you'll make a demo reel with this. You won't stop at me. I want you to go out and make a demo reel and include other characters in it. Give people a teaser. Give people an idea of what this project's going to be about, even if it's just for pitching. Because at the end of the day, no one in a studio is going to give you more than about 5 to 10 minutes of their time if you're nobody that walks through their doors.
Yeah.
And so he turns around and says, you're going to want to wow them in that 5 to 10 minutes. And before all this, I was just working on putting together an art book. And he's gone, look, is your art book going to be read cover to cover in 5 minutes? And I'm like, oh, God, no. And he's gone, then you're going to fail. He's like, unless something grabs someone on page one, man, you're probably going to fail. He was really brutally honest with me, and I loved that honesty because it was unbridled advice for the best possible reasons.
From someone that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, so, and he even said, look, no matter how close you think you are to getting it made, your chances of failing are infinitely closer. Yeah, you're infinitely closer to failing than to making it. No matter how close you think you are, it's only made when it's made.
Yep.
And that was really inspiring to hear that. So brutal, and I think that's probably what determines how far you are going to take it, is if you're going to turn away then because it's, failure is probable, I think that's probably going to determine your path as to where that project goes. So I kept on going with it full steam ahead, but I was faced with another problem of, well, if I'm doing other characters, how am I? I'm an Australian. Our accents are really, really, our accents are very obvious when put against a professional American voice actor,
Yeah.
And I can't
Stands
just
out.
go out and get I can't just go out and get my friends to voice my characters. This pretty much puts me in a bit of a tight spot. And I emailed him back telling him that, and he's gone, you caught my attention, so why don't you think that you can do the same to other people? Go out and contact all your first choices for voice actors and see what happens. And over the course of 2.5 years, I spoke with agents and I spoke with all the big voice actors that I loved so much. I only got 2 no's out of the whole thing.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was really lucky.
Was that to commit
I only got
to?
2 no's. Pardon?
Was that to commit to doing this demo reel, or potentially doing the whole 64 episodes?
No, it was just for the demo reel, and the no's weren't even no's. I'm not interested. The no's were it was either way out of my budget, or it was no, I just can't at the moment because I'm too busy with other projects that I'm currently filming on right now. But everyone was super nice about it. And everyone else that got involved, one of the no's was from the original voice actor that I had pegged for Zero. And I only had this one actor pegged for Zero. I was like, yup, this has to be him. And it went for months talking back and forwards with this guy about the project, and he was really putting me through my paces to see how well I'd thought it through, and even he was really impressed with it. But in the end, it wasn't getting done, and it was taking too long, and he had several commitments, and then the news broke of his involvement in a rather large video game that I knew about, and I was like, oh god, he is never going to be free for someone as small as me. But he was super nice about the whole thing, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to have to start looking to someone else. But I was just so committed to that one idea, and I realized that I wasn't really being versatile. I wasn't really being flexible like I always wanted to be, and it took me weeks just listening to anime and watching anime, just pegging who had that sort of that natural tone, that confidence. It was almost like a confident, sort of like an arrogant sort of tone, that smugness that I really wanted Zero to have. But he needed to sound cool. And then I sat down again and watched bloody Fate Stay Night for the 7th time, Ufotable's one. And I heard Archer, and it was Keiji Tang.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my god, that's it.
Found him.
That is the guy that I have to talk to. And Keiji was same day responsive with me. He was just amazing. And when I heard the lines read out, it was better than I'd ever expected. It was the minute I heard, I was like, holy crap, that is Zero. That is my character. That is amazing. And to everyone that I can name and everyone that I can't name publicly, they've all just been amazing. And I thank them all so much. If any of them were to ever see this, their involvement. I've got 7 high-profile voice actors all involved in this demo reel now.
Wow.
And the 3 that I can sort of release to the public, because it's what I'm going to go out and start showing the public soon, was, Keiji Tang, who's, as we've spoken about, it's Arch from Fate Stay Night, Cole Habe, so, Kamina from Gurren Lagann, my favourite anime of all time. Yeah. When I heard him read lines for me, I actually teared up. My fiance was standing with me, and I just had tears in my eyes because he voiced my main character, Vincent, and it was just perfect. It was this perfect moment where I'd heard it. and Ben Diskin, who's Barn from Seven Deadly
Yep.
Sins, as well as many other things. And Ben was amazing because he had so many more lines than anyone else in this whole demo reel.
Even Vincent.
And he just belted it out, and he did so many takes for me so that I had different tones to use and stuff like that for different lines, and he had easily 4 times more lines than what any other character did because of the role I had him in the demo reel.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know you were getting that level of support from all these guys. Like, that's really incredible on their part. Like, I didn't realize how much they'd go out of their way to kind of help you.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, and it's not to elevate me or to pat myself on the back at all, but a lot of them did say directly it's because I'd done so much with it already. They could see that it wasn't just an idea anymore. Some went as far as actually, like, most of them went as far as to say when they said yes to voice acting, they said, one condition is that you will highly consider us to reprise our roles if this gets picked up. And
of course.
Of them said, and a lot of them said when this gets picked up, like as though they had it's like they thought, no, this is going to become an anime one day. And so a lot of them said, if you'll have me reprise my role, that's kind of my condition for helping you out. If you like the performance, and like that was insane.
Yeah, like unless they were like awfully bad, but like you wouldn't have probably reached out to them in the first place. So that was going to lead into one of my other questions. Is it seems like you're developing these characters with a voice in mind. That's what I was going to ask. Do you have a specific voice actor in mind when you start developing these characters more, or the kinds of attitudes they have and things like that?
When I started out, I did, yeah. For my 5 main characters, and then for a few after that, back like 2008, 2009, and 2010 was when I was like, still Millennium Exile was in its infancy. I wasn't really serious about it back then. I was writing it just for me. I wasn't writing it for any sort of idea I wasn't writing it for any sort of purpose as to become an anime. I really didn't know if it was going to go down that rabbit hole, but it wasn't something I'd considered. So back then I was writing purely from a fandom perspective. I was, like many other artists that would design an original character and go, oh my god, this person would sound so cool if they voiced this character. And it was just me being like a little fanboy over it.
Half of DeviantArt.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It was like, I was a very big fanboy like over that. And it's not that I'm not anymore, but now that it's since the voice actors came on and the donations have been absolutely amazing. I've been interviewed a few times from different publications, like such as yourself. ABC Radio here in Australia had me on there, and I was doing radio interviews with them. I've been in a few magazines now, and it's just been amazing. And even like when Kotaku's picked it up, like it's very much got legs of its own now, and it's sort of moving. And with these voice actors being involved the way that they are, I mean, my chances again are still infinitely closer to 0 than they are to 100. I'm not going to break my arm patting myself on the back until I've actually had something made.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of work to go, but with the amount of support that I've had and the voice actors, the talent that's involved in this demo reel, it's very much helped my chances when I go through those doors and to sit down and go, oh, P.S., these are the people involved in this demo reel. And I think that's going to sort of, I'm hoping that's going to turn some heads and go, okay, he's a nobody. How the hell did he get these people involved?
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that's how that's going to sort of pan out. But it still needs to be, like, I can't just rely on the actors and names involved. It's still got to be a good story.
Yeah, of course. But,
so nowadays I don't really write. When I design characters, I've only got like a couple of characters that aren't designed, and they're really sort of characters that aren't really, they're not groundbreaking to the plot straight away. They're kind of like side characters that happen in certain arcs. I don't really, to answer your original question, I don't really design them with a voice in mind anymore. I really design them just focusing on their role that they're going to play, their look, their aesthetic, their power, if it's broken, if it fits, making sure that the foundations are there. and that the personality's there. Because if you've got the personality for a character, you'll always find a voice actor that can play it, because these actors are professionals for a reason. They're amazing.
Yeah, they're good at what they do, and that's why a lot of them have been around since back in the 90s. You've still got a lot of those kind of like the ancient voice actors that are attached to everything. Your Chris Sabatts, your other ones like that. There's a reason they've been in hundreds of different shows.
Yeah, that's right. And that's exactly right. Like one of the three children from Evangelion is a voice actor on my demo reel.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So yeah, that is exactly what you're talking about. Like it's one of the old school voice actors from like the 90s.
Yep.
That you sort of remember when you're in high school, like being an old fart. I'm like 30 now, like 34 at the moment. So when I was in high school, I was watching Evangelion, and hearing one of those voice actors play one of my characters is just
mind blowing.
Yeah, I've even got a voice actor who I could probably, so I can't say a name just yet, but yeah, I can 100% say that he voiced one of the characters in an old anime called Technoman or Tekkaman Blade.
Okay.
From back in like the early 90s on like Cheese TV days.
Yep.
So but even right back then, I've got a voice actor that's playing that, and it's just. You hear those people record and you're just like, wow, this is why they're still in the game.
They know what they're doing.
Just got it. Yeah, they just nail it first time every time. It's just another day in the office.
So, as you said, the part of your pitch is kind of going and sitting down and throwing down that you have all these kind of people on board with the project. I'm not sure how things happen in Japan, but does that carry much weight if you said, say, such and such is attached to my project? Do they care about that, or would you have a better chance if that doesn't get picked up going to like an American style studio, something like Nickelodeon, or the people that produce like Avatar or things like that, or a more Western style thing? Is that also an option? Because assuming probably some of those voice actors have probably done work with them too, it might have a little bit more weight over there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like even like DreamWorks with their newest Voltron adaptations, just
it's
insane.
awesome.
I'm such a huge fan of it.
I only started watching it the other day.
Yeah, they've got huge actors like Norman Reedus and all that sort of stuff, on the show, and they've got massive people involved. But I think a point that you touched on earlier actually is going to work in my favor in that regard a little bit, because with the simuldubs now,
there's collaboration kind of going on.
I think these names are starting to mean something in Japan, because a lot of these Japanese companies are very well aware that their worldwide release is going to carry an English dub.
Yes.
So, especially with some of these old school names, these studios are going to know who they are. But again, it's up to personal opinion of the person that I'm pitching to. I could pitch to someone who's just not a fan of their work.
Yeah.
But their time in the industry is still insane. No one can deny their experience, personal opinions aside of their voice. No one can deny a seasoned pro like that being involved in something. And what I'm really hoping to aim for is a collaboration between countries for anime. So I have such a healthy respect for anime. I don't want to. I get this a lot from fans where they don't hate on it. I've been really lucky where I haven't had a lot of haters. I've had a couple, but it's fine. You can't please everyone, and I'm absolutely fine with that. But I've had a couple of people say, if a Westerner is made in anime, does that really make it anime? And isn't that going to water it down? Isn't that going to take away its uniqueness? And at the end of the day, I can only do my best as a writer.
Yep.
But I want to collaborate with them. I don't want to just walk in and dictate. I don't have that much of a high opinion of myself as a writer. I think I've written a good story. I think I've written something quite unique the way that I've written it, and that's a lot of stuff that you won't find online, because in order to avoid plagiarism, I can redesign a character until the cows come home. Someone from another country wants to take one of my characters and rip it off. I mean, it'll be heartbreaking, but I can redesign a character.
Yeah.
I can't retell the story that I've told, so a lot of the highly unique stuff is kept offline. But I want to collaborate with people. I want to walk in with this structure, with this foundation and idea, and a story that's completely told. And I want to sit down with people, like if I was blessed enough to work with Igarashi, even Hiroyuki Yamashi, who does Bungo Stray Dogs and Star Driver. I'm a huge fan of his work. if I was to ever be able to work with those people, and it doesn't even matter if it's those big names, anyone that's got that experience, that's in that world, I want to collaborate and work with them. I don't want to dictate to them like, oh, this is what it is, I don't want to change. But I want these people to come in and make Millennium Exile an anime.
Yeah.
You know, and I want that studio behind it. I want that studio taking it into the next frontier. I want them leading the charge. I want to just be that little otaku nerd from Australia that sort of came up with an idea.
Yep.
But then I want that studio to do what they do best. And I
think that's the best way to do it. And probably the best way to get it picked up as well. You go in there and say, this is the story, you're not touching it, it's probably going to close more doors than it's going to open. So
that's right. I mean, if I wanted to do that, I'd become an author.
Yeah.
You know, just write my own book and that's it. But you can't be just one person dictating when it's an on-screen thing. Like, you can't just have one person dictating how an entire movie runs. You can have a head that's going to have maybe the final say, but there's not just one person that makes a movie. There's not just one person that makes an anime or an animated anything, whether it's American, Japanese, or whatever. It takes a team of people to work collaboratively. It's all about that teamwork and understanding each other's strengths.
Yeah.
So if someone was to turn around and say, hey, like this, but this character doesn't work here, here, and here, then we need to sit down and go, okay, you're the veteran. You've got the experience. You've done this before. What do you think? And let's work on it from there.
Work with it together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
You know, it's my baby. It's my baby. I've been working on it for so long, but I've always written it for the idea of being adaptable.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm not even attached to the project. Yeah. So that it is your baby. Like, you've been working on this for a long time. Like you were saying before, it's not like you just threw together a sketch over the weekend and you're trying to get this thing made. Like, seeing your passion, I have to commend you on that you've stuck with this for so long. And yeah, it's really inspiring to see your passion behind this thing, and that you've funded it yourself. Like, you could have given up 10 years ago, 9 years ago if it didn't even pick up. But just to see how far it's come, and it's not really a thing yet.
Yeah, it's still in its infancy.
Yeah, it's yeah, I have to commend your passion, man.
Thanks very much. I'm nothing if not passionate.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go through some pretty traumatic upbringings early in my life.
I did see your intro video on YouTube, but
yeah. And when I say lucky enough, I think that gives you a unique perspective, early on in life. And you can go a few different ways with it, but what I took from everything in my past was that life is fleeting. It's frail, you know, and depending on what your religious beliefs are, you might only have one life. I certainly believe you get one life. If there's multiples out there, who knows? But all you can be certain of is that this life right here is the one that you have. You know, everything else is a matter of faith, and everyone's, and I respect that. But the life that you have right here is the one that you need to be taking things for granted. Live in the moment, not taking things for granted. Sorry, and I very much want to. It was my dream to entertain people and to captivate people with my story the way that other people have done with their work. Their work saved my life, and when I was thinking about suicide when I was 14, it was the works of Evangelion and Dragon Ball Z and these larger than life heroes that, even though I understood their work was fictional, the strength that they stood for was all too real.
Yeah.
And that made a difference in my life. And, it captivated me. It inspired me. It started this fire of passion that was within me that never died out. And if I could do even one of those things to anyone in this world through Millennium Exile, then that is an amazing thing. That's what I've always wanted to do. I wanted to be part of this industry that I have such a love for. And, so I think if you have the ability to reach the end of your life and look back, you're always going to have I would have done this, and your little regrets here and there.
Oh, it's always clear to see things in hindsight.
Yeah, that's right. When it comes to your dream and your passion, even if I take Millennium Exile and it gets no's until the day I die. If I get no's right through, I'll never stop pitching it. Even if it, like even Harry Potter got rejected by a bunch of publishing before that happened. You look at how One Punch Man was created. Good God.
Yeah.
Like just no's mean nothing anymore because eventually someone can pick it up. Even Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, like the book was already a success, sure, but that man never lived to see the movies that got created from it.
No.
And then it reignited this passion for that story. The world was like, the mainstream of the world was aware of this story that this man had told. And so I think that if you can have the ability to look back on your life and at least say that you gave it 100%, you didn't leave any cards on the table. I think that's the important thing. I think, if I ever have grandkids or children, at least I can look them in the eye and say, I took it as far as I could go. For better or for worse, I can still be
you
proud.
Gave it
I can be proud of a
everything.
failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be proud of a failure. I can be proud of a failure if I committed 100% to it.
I wish there was more people in the world like you. I really do.
Thanks, man. It's nice to hear. Thanks, but I still have my shortcomings. Obviously, I make countless mistakes, and I've failed plenty in my life to get to having the disposition that I have now. And it's very much you have to fail forward in life, in my opinion. Every failure is a success.
Yep.
It's just a matter of perspective.
Yeah, definitely. But you keep trying. I know a lot of people would give up, especially something that's been going 10 years now. So you have that on your side.
Yeah, well, it's hard, man, because if I was somebody's son, like a great author's son, or I had like this massive bank account, this could have been done like ages ago. But that being said,
but would it have been as good?
Had the Millennium Exile that I have now.
No.
Because I've had to sit with it for so long, I've matured as I've been writing it. And I've, as a storyteller, as a person, I've been able to mature and go back and rewrite these holes that were previously in the show. So if I was just some rich kid that had a famous dad
tried to shit it out for more money,
I'd probably wind up with something quite mediocre comparatively to how I've written it now. So I'm really grateful that it's taking me so long. And even if it takes me until I'm 50 before something happens, I don't intend for that to happen. I think we're getting to the pointy end of it now. But even if it does hit that point where, if it takes me until I'm 50 or 60, it doesn't matter, man. Like it's all about bringing something to the table that's you haven't rushed through it. Yeah. We're taught that in high school and in primary school. The kids that rush their homework, teachers turn around and go, you get a bad mark because we know you rushed this. The kids that stayed there and took their time right until the last moment to finish their assignment, they're the ones that get the good marks because they took their time to make sure it was right.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I think we're pretty much getting towards the end of our little chat and the very first episode of Talent Talks. But before we sign it off, is there anything you want to tell people about the project or?
Feel free to check it out on the social media links. I'm always sharing artwork. I share a healthy amount of information about all my characters online on all the social media platforms. Every new development that happens, including this talk here, I share everything with everybody, and just people that have been fans of the page for a while, you get to come on this journey with me, for better or for worse. Even the failures will get shared up there. If I have if I have the door slammed in my face at trigger, I'll be like, guess what? Guess what, guys? Guess what this blood nose is from? Yeah, the trigger door's really hard.
Hey, at least you went to trigger.
Yeah, so it'll be fine though, because I thank everyone that's already a fan, and I thank everyone who says all the nice comments and all the nice PMs I get, and it's really cool to hear a lot of fans out there that are aspiring voice actors. And they actually reach out to me saying, "Oh, is there any room on your demo reel? I'd love to help out. And even though there's no room for anything like that anymore, it's incredible to know that you've got something that people want to be involved in. And I think even without needing a role in the project itself, being a fan of the project while it's in its infancy, that is such a huge role. So to everyone who's liked and disliked, even to the haters out there that don't like what I'm doing, thank you guys so much, because it is awesome. It's been a once in a lifetime ride, and I hope that I can meet all your expectations. And thanks for having me on your show, man. It's a big honor. This has been an awesome interview. This is really cool. It's my first on Skype, so this has been a lot of fun.
Thanks, man. No, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Like, it just so happens that we're in the same country, and you're someone doing something that I've never heard anyone trying to do. And it's like, the thing that drew me most to the project is that it isn't just this 2-minute cash grab kind of thing or a little fan art project. It has legs. They might not be running.
Isn't exactly supportive with what I'm doing either. So
they don't like our
I've
stuff.
applied for the art grants that they have here in Australia, and I've gotten as far as basically getting the yes. I've received the email saying you are eligible for it. Submit the applications. I've filled out bloody 18 pages of paperwork you need to fill out to submit to their requirement. And oh man, I got all the way to the point where they said, you know what, 100%, we will give you this grant, and it's like for a decent amount of money that I could absolutely use for the project. But they turned around and said, on one condition, that you do not fund any overseas artists anymore with this project.
Well, that pretty much shuts all the doors.
We don't want you working with, one of my main artists, Harry. He's over in Jakarta, and I've got artists from around the world drawing for this thing. And I think that's what makes it special. It's a global collaboration, and then eventually we've got these highly polished, these highly seasoned voice actors from America, and then I've got artists that have done the preliminary work with me from around the world, and then eventually take it to Japan, to the birthplace of anime, and to get it finalized over there. I'm hoping to actually break down the borders and boundaries that have been up around this industry for so long.
Yeah.
And I politely told them to shove it. Keep the money.
Yep.
Keep the money, because I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for the amount of hardworking, men and women that have helped out on this project.
Yep.
So, this is all about inclusivity, not excluding people for the sake of going, oh, we're a homegrown Australian project. No, man. I'm an Australian, sure, but this is all about this is about including people, not excluding.
That's it. All right, man. I think we're gonna wrap up this first episode of Talent Talks. Everyone, this is Ty Hanson, the founder of the Millennium Exile project. So if you haven't already, go and check it out. And if you're someone out there listening that wants to get on board with the project, they can donate towards the project on your website. Is it?
Yes, it's mainly on the Facebook page, because it just goes to a Millennium Exile PayPal account.
Yep.
That way I can actually, they take the least amount, off the top. If I was to do GoFundMe's, they take so much of a percentage.
So does Kickstarter.
So this way, 100% of it goes, I think PayPal take a couple of cents off every donation, or maybe a couple of dollars. But this way, at least, it goes straight to a Millennium Exile PayPal, and that PayPal goes straight to the artists and straight to everybody else that works on it. So, it's just on the banner. I know it's not the most appropriately titled banner, but it just says shop now. That's all that we can really do for Facebook. Unfortunately, we don't have a custom button feature yet, to my knowledge.
Don't believe so.
No.
Ty, thanks for coming on, man, and we might do another episode down the line, and we'll check back in to see how things are going.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
No worries.